community here, and I feel like all the children of our community is like my children. I have to worry about them. So he was trying to run away from me. I grabbed him. I said, come on. Why are you smoking? He said, well, I'm sorry. I said, come on, talk to me. I'm not telling nobody. It's going to be on YouTube. We're not mentioning no names. So I told him, talk to me. And I talked to him. And I took time, like we stood for about 45 minutes talking. I made the guy open up. I want to get to the root of it. And it is very important. Somebody convinced him with misconception. Somebody had convinced him with one misconception. What is it? You're not going to believe it. Somebody, older person, told him, if you are a man, listen to this, how they play with the mind. If you are a man, before you make a decision, you try everything once. In order for you to know what that thing is, you need to try. Don't make judgment that smoking is not good. Smoke a cigarette, then decide. Smoke a drug, and then decide. Drink alcohol, then decide. I used to be an electrician, and our teacher, when we were learning, he said something you'll never forget. He said, electrician make mistake only one time. Because if you're working with voltage and electricity, you make mistake one time, that means you're dying. Otherwise, you cannot repeat the mistake. So we need to teach those children that sometimes one mistake will make you dead. Maybe you're dead for life. All those people who are on drug addicts, what they did, they tried it once. So this false idea, they convinced him with it, then he became a smoker, running away from his parent. Maybe he will steal money to buy cigarettes. Maybe he will borrow money and not pay it back to buy. And the same people with drugs. Try it once. You try it once, you become a different person. When you become a different person, you get hooked. Then you're lost. You're lost. A lot of our people, our children, we know them in the community. Because of a doctor have described for them, some tranquilizer or some calmers or whatever they do. Or sometimes I don't know those names, all of them. Those kids, they become hooked. And now their parents are struggling with them. You know them, you see them here. Their parents are struggling with them because they made the mistake. They listened to that doctor, Western doctor. You should not. One mistake. So that's why I'm talking about the misconception. Misconception may kill a person. That's why Muslim people in Islam, we deal with misconception a lot. We warn about them. Misconception, shubuhat, and also shahawat. And one of the schools, our school right here, I don't know if you know about them or not. There was a sign of those girls moving, I'm sorry, it's the school of Oklahoma. And I was talking to the principal over there. The girls are starting removing their scarf when they leave the school. Why? Their parents, their mothers, they're having scarf, the school is Islamic school, and all of that. Why those girls are removing their scarf when they leave the school? Why? So they made an investigation. To make this long story short, they found out that they have hired one teacher who is a mathematics teacher. They hired her in that school. And then that teacher did not tell them. She did not tell them to remove their scarf. She was asking them a question. You are a good person, you don't lie, you pray 5 times a day, you do this, you do that, you believe in Allah, you believe in the Quran, you believe in this. You're good people. Do you think Allah will put you in hellfire if you remove your scarf off? What kind of God is going to take away all the good deed that you have done and put you in hellfire just because you remove your scarf? You see the misconception? She did not tell them to remove it, but she gave them something to think about, something devilish. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Nur, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Khutuwat. Because start with you step by step, until you get to it. So, the girls start thinking, and start removing, yes, I pray, I'm a good person, I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafoor Rahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Latif, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Wadud, Allah. He's not going to put me, in hellfire because I removed my scarf, so let's see. So they leave the school, they leave. Misconception. You see? Always to control the behavior. What time do you have?
What about the parents that
Please complete your advice for the ladies as the young ladies who listen to you now. So why actually we wear our scarf? Say why we suppose as a good people to praise and do everything. Why the ladies, they're supposed to keep their scarves on with all of this goodness. So finish the statements.
Okay.
Don't make it an open statement.
Exactly.
What about the parents? There are parents that, because they're in this non-Islamic environment, they feel fearful of the kuffar, as you want to say, and they don't encourage their children to wear the scarf. So don't blame it all on the kuffar. You're going to blame some of these parents around here that allow their children to come out not dressed properly or take their scarves off. But welcome, I'm going to tell you what a non-Muslim lady said to me that I work with. She wanted to know why the Muslim girls wanted to look like them, because she still with a scarf on, and a little pair of shirt over, and a pair of jeans. She said, you Muslim, but why do they want to look like us? This is what the non-Muslim said. One of my bosses, one of the non-Muslim ladies said to me, you Muslim girls walking around here uncovered. You ought to be grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made you Muslim. And then they see another Muslim that they said, this is the real Muslim, when they see the Muslim girls that's dressed properly. So you're not making yourself look good, uncovering. You understand? So it's not just the non-Muslim. It's some of these parents that allow their children to go out like that. That's what I have to say.
Jazakallah.
But it's big.
We should, rather than to answer every misconception that we have, I have to say something, which is, do not listen, do not give your ear to anyone unless they are Muslims and they are trustworthy. Put that in the mind of your daughters and your children. Don't take information from nobody. Take information from us, or take information from somebody who we trust. You see? If you give them that, like in the American society, what do they teach their children? Do not go with any stranger. Do not open the door to any stranger. Do not talk to stranger. Do not eat candy from any stranger. Give them general statement. We as Muslims supposed to do that. We have to immune our children from listening or giving their ear to anybody who is not Muslim. That's number one. Number two, even some of the Muslims, they're not understanding correctly. So we have to tell them, even when we are a student, our mashayikh used to tell us, Jazahumullah khair, barakallahu fihim, do not take your deen from anybody unless they are trustworthy and the ummah had agreed on. That's why you find all the ummah, they are following Al-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad, Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik. Why? Because with my religion, I have to trust with it somebody who's the ummah have trusted. The whole people have trusted. God forbid, when somebody have a disease, where does he go? He goes to the best doctor. Even if he goes to a doctor and give him an advice, sometimes said, I don't know, I need to take another opinion. One of us, If a doctor said that you need an operation, really? Well, before you cut me up open, I have to go see other people, you know, because it's your health. Your deen is more important than your health. It's more important than your body. Okay? Because your body affects you in this dunya. Your brain, your belief, your iman, your aqidah will affect you in this dunya and in the hereafter. So anyway, so we have to teach our children not to listen to nobody except that they are trustworthy. And if you don't know, you tell them about somebody who you trust to let them go and talk to. And so the first one we came up with the study is that in Islam we said the good behavior is connected with the good of the heart and the belief. The second one, الاهتمام بما يصلح القلب وتبيين المفسدات من الشهوات أو الشبهات. We're talking about the misconception, that's important, and talk about the lust and desire to be controlled by the Islamic understanding. And some of the scholars, they said, if you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now you asked me earlier how to convince a person, right?
To the right thing.
Huh?
To do the right thing as per Islam
Okay,
perspective.
so the scholar said, first of all, you have to tell them who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Any person, anywhere. They have to talk about what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have done to you. Who you belong to. You belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Talking to him about the names and the attributes. Teach them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you teach them about the sustenance of Allah, you teach them who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're supposed to generate in their heart the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you obey Him. You teach them the result of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is that result? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in ayah number 97 of Surah Al-Nahl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, you know, والذين آمنوا فلنحيينهم حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون. This is the ayah. The key in that ayah, ولنحيينهم حياة طيبة. He will live good life here and the hereafter. Even though some of the scholars said that حياة طيبة here, Allah is promising them in the hereafter. Some other scholars said, no, حياة طيبة here. And حياة طيبة there. Good life here, good life there. Some of the scholars who they took حياة طيبة in the hereafter, they connected it with the ayah of Surah Taha. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Over there. Even this ayah in Surah Taha, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا. Some of the scholars said in the dunya and in the akhirah. You see, to both of them. In the dunya and the akhirah. Those people who they do not connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're going to live in agony. They're going to live in torture. Even though they might be rich, they might be this, they might be that. Like I said last session, or the one before last, is some people seek happiness and sa'ada, and they think that sa'ada comes from wealth. That's why people, they're running after making money because they believe money will make them happy. No. Some people will run after position or degrees or whatever, or a rank. They believe that if I become a soldier, big one, then, then I will be happy. If I become the director of such and such company, I'll be happy. From Islamic point of view, happiness is from Allah. Happiness is a result. It is not something you can get in your action. Many people who they are millionaires, they're not happy. People who they have position, they're not happy. Look around you. Do you know who commits suicide in the United States? number one. Read the statistics. Statistics was published by the American government. The people who commit suicide in the American society are the rich and the famous. So richness does not bring you happiness. Being famous does not bring you happiness. Position. What does bring you happiness? Your happiness to believe in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. عجبا لأمر المؤمن إن أمره كله له خير. إن أصابه شر صبر. وإن أصابه خير شكر. He's happy. He's happy. Imran bin Hussein, Sahabi. You know, all of you know Imran. After the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he has a problem. He stayed laying down in bed. Read the seerah of Imran bin Hussein. He stayed laid down in bed. He cannot get up. 30 years. Not 30 days, 30 years. They made a bed and they cut a hole under the bed for him to go to the bathroom through that particular hole. They come and they visit him. He is smiling. How could you be smiling? If I have a toothache, I'm jumping up and down and screaming and cussing and doing this. Why? He said, اختاره الله رضيه الله لي أفلا أرضاه لنفسي. Allah accepted that for me. Shouldn't I accept that for myself? Taslim, rida, happiness. You know, one of the Sahaba, I just forgot his name, that he was sent to some of the kuffar, and one of the kuffar have stabbed him on the back with a spear. He stabbed him in the back. The point of the spear came out of the chest. What did this guy say? He said, Fizdu wa Rabbil Kaaba. Who hit him? A guy, his name is Jabbar. You know? Jabbar later on said, that's his name. He said, I became a Muslim because of his word. I said, how did you do that? He said, Jabbar, when I hit him with that spear, and he said, Fistu wa Rabb al-Kaaba, I'm talking to myself, I just killed him. What do you mean he succeeded? And he's swearing that he succeeded by the Lord of Al-Kaaba. So that's an oath. What do you mean he succeeded? I just killed him. They explained to him that he died in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he succeeded by having the Jannah because he died in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they explained that to him, he became a Muslim. You see? So, Jabbar ibn Salma, the guy who killed him, his name. So anyway, so to convince the brain, it will, you know, straighten up the act. This is...
سؤال
علي صوتك ما
Okay, I will. Can you hear me?
راح اجيب سماعات ان
لا
شاء الله.
لا انت بدي سمعت
لا he need to
لا I have a question. You say there are three types of nafs. النفس الأمارة بالسوء والنفس اللوامة والنفس المطمئنة. The three, the one that is prone to evil, and the other extreme, the one that is satisfied, مطمئنة. I think many of us fall into the third category, which is the nafs al-lawwama. But what causes the fluctuation? Why are we, some days we are the most pious person, and the next day I'm going down the hill? What's causing the fluctuation if the brain and the heart have this good seed in it?
It's the struggle. The scholar, all of it, they said it's a struggle between the call of your iman and the call of this dunya. Okay? And Jazakallah khair for mentioning that, because there's a hadith I was going to mention, but I forgot it. But now with your question, I remember. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, قال عليه الصلاة والسلام فيما يرويه عبد الله بن